Welcome back to Truck Tech, everyone. This week we're coming to you from Brighton, Colorado, outside Denver, which is the home of Outrider. Now, Outrider plays a key role in the distribution yard process. That is, all freight moves across highways and things like that, but they all hit some form of distribution center. Where Outrider comes in and is different is because it does it autonomously and electrified, that is, with electric vehicles. So we're going to get to see a bunch of that today. Our tour guide is going to be Londonne Corder, who is the Chief Marketing Officer for Outrider. Thanks for having us.
Welcome, Alan. Thanks so much. We are at our headquarters and our advanced testing facility for Outrider. And Outrider means one that goes in advance to clear a path. And we are the pioneers in electrifying and autonomizing the yard, and we are the first to have done that, and we're really excited. A little bit about the company's background. We started in 2017. We came out of stealth in early 2020, and we've been at it. So, we have been exclusively focused on fixing a problem that has existed for decades. We work with Fortune 500 companies who are logistically dependent in moving their freight, and we are the transition point between the warehouse and over-the-road trucking. And what's involved is moving trailers up to 5 times every time a trailer lands on a site. And so it's very repetitive, very manual, done in extreme heat, all kinds of weather, and it's not very human friendly. And so we've made this autonomous so that our customers can work with their employees to do other more human friendly jobs.
Your background, and I think we should probably just take a walk over here. Some of the background really is, these pictures capture some of the story of this. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's a couple origin stories for Outrider, and I'm just going to focus on one. Our CEO and founder, Andrew Smith, he spent some time up in the Alaskan wilderness years and years ago. And this inspired him to work on technologies that advance environmental causes, such as reducing our carbon footprint. And this is an example of the caribou migration that happens in the north, in Alaska and further north, where we have in the past tried to build pipelines to transport oil into other parts of the country. And we really want to reduce the reliance on fossil fuels like this so that the caribou can still continue to do their migration freely. And you're seeing a winter, summer, and spring view of this incredible migration. And that was one of the things that inspired Andrew to found this company.
And wouldn't you think you come in a place like this, you'd expect to see a bunch of yard dogs on the wall and things like that. Instead, we have caribou, which is kind of interesting. Okay, so you're going to take us on a tour.
Absolutely.
Okay, so why don't you take us through the process? The autonomous truck is coming towards us right now, Londonne, right?
Yeah, so what's happening is the truck just did a scan of the trailer to take inventory of it and then check the surrounding areas to make sure they're clear for the autonomous move. Now it's doing a pull to back maneuver where it's going to align the Kingpin with the hitch underneath, and it's going to perform that maneuver right now.
Okay, so the Kingpin will click on just like it does in any normal sort of backing maneuver.
The sensors underneath will confirm the latch and it not require an actual tug test.
Okay, it just moved forward a little bit because it didn't like its position, is that right?
It did not like the alignment of the Kingpin. So what it's doing is wanted to make sure it was going to get straight on with the latch. So you can get kind of way down here and you're going to see it slide into the pin.
Okay, now arguably that's the easy thing to do. Now it gets harder, right?
Yep, now it gets harder.
tell me what's going to happen next.
So the next step is for our Trailer Connect, which is a patented arm that we've outfitted with computer vision and deep learning to look at the kind of glad hand it wants to connect to, and then it will pick up a tool that will allow it to connect. So right now you're seeing it scan. The context here is that there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of different types of glad hands. There are recessed ones, there are different locations, there's spring ones, there's fixed 90 degrees, fixed 45 degrees. And so our Trailer Connect needed to be able to know and be able to connect to any type of these glad hands, because it's really unfeasible to think we're going to retrofit every single trailer and chassis on the road today.
So basically it has programming to know what to look for. Is that correct?
Correct. So now what you're going to see is an articulated back. And this is important because the autonomous vehicle at a customer site would be dealing in very constrained environment where there'd be a tight apron. There would be trailers on either side of this parking spot. And so we've really got to be able to get in straight and accurately to not only parking spots, but more importantly, dock doors.
Because damageability of trailers is huge, right?
It is huge. The most common things that happen are damage to the trailers on either side of the parking spot or loading dock that you're going into, as well as damaging swing doors that have been pinned back on either side. Now we're going to disconnect the brake line, and then we will perform the unhitching.
It's a beautiful Colorado day out here. Getting warmer, right?
Yep.
But you've got EVs. I don't see any kind of smog. I don't really, other than the backing and safety noises, I don't hear any noise.
Yeah, it's a very quiet vehicle. It can sneak up on you.
Yeah, I prefer that not happen, right?
I know. That has been one of our very important safety mechanisms. The beeping that you're hearing constantly, that communicates that it's in autonomous mode. The two beeps before it progresses forward or backwards, that means it's going to be moving forward and backwards in autonomous mode. The light on the top, as well as the lights around the bottom, are another piece of our safety suite to know that it's in autonomous mode.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that before, and that's something that, I don't know where. I'm sure there are LiDARs down underneath, or I'm not sure where they all are on there, but. Yep. But basically, and I know that you're looking at sort of being able to see what's going on all around the vehicle.
Correct. Yep. So there are several sensor suites. We have our sensor bar that is complete with an end-to-end sensors, cameras, LiDARs, and radars. There's on the corner of the front. When we saw the Kingpin attach for the hitch, there is a sensor actually under there.
See, I do see the LiDAR now, London down the bottom for checking to where it's going. And it's basically going to go through the same process here that it did a moment ago. It's going to pick this one up.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so one of the things about trailers, not only do they have glad hands in different spots and different inset or not, and different types of glad hands, we also know that there are different lengths of trailers and obviously weights. So we've been working with a multitude of different sizes and weights of trailers so that we can handle, you know, as many fleets of trailers as possible.
Well, and when you get to loads, I mean, 53-foot dry van is pretty common,
Mhm.
but sometimes it's cubed out, sometimes it's weighted out, right? That's
Yep.
what you're kind of talking
Correct.
about.
Yep.
Yeah, and so if this was potato chips, you would have less to be thinking about if it was going to the grocery store. Whereas if it's parts for automobiles, it might be a good deal heavier.
Yes, correct.
When you got started with this, it really was kind of about the truck first, right?
Mm-hmm.
Automating the truck or the yard dog. And then the second piece was?
Well, there's one thing to automate the truck. It's a different thing to automate all the things that are required to do in the yard. And so we made an autonomous vehicle, but we also had to think about, well, how is it going to back and align to a trailer and hitch to it? How is it going to connect the brake line so it can release the brake so we don't drag the trailer around the yard? We had to think about the truck communicating with the dock. That's why we have dock-like communication, so we know if it's safe to back or pull away from the dock door. We had to think about what else could the truck be doing while it's driving around the yard and doing moves? Well, it can take trailer inventory, which is a real problem for a lot of our customers. They might know that a trailer has arrived or left by a check-in process or even an automated one, but when the trailer gets moved up to 5 times on a site, people lose track of their trailers. And so while this guy is doing moves or as a dedicated move, he can go here, it can go around and do that trailer inventory.
And that just gets fed back into the back shop?
Yeah, it gets fed right into the customer's YMS or yard management solution, and they get the visibility.
Typical customer could run about how many yard tractors at a time? One of your typical customers.
Yeah, so right now we're doing on any one site between 1 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have architected this solution to work in conjunction with manual yard truck drivers. And the reason why is that there will be moves that the autonomous truck just cannot do. And one of those is a damaged glad hand. If this guy isn't intact or if it's zip tied back and it's a spring-loaded one, it'll say, hey, I can't move this. It'll send it back to the YMS and the dispatcher can get someone else to help.
Sure. So there's always going to be some manual activity out here in the yard.
For the immediate future, yeah. I mean, that is, we want to deliver an autonomous solution that does the most of the moves possible on any given site, in any given network of facilities. But there is obviously that, 5-10% that, robots just aren't made to do yet. One of our design principles was to integrate with the existing flow and management of any yard. And so that meant being able to navigate all the other traffic that happens in the yard, whether it's over-the-road trucks or pickup trucks or whatnot. The second was being able to integrate into the dispatching process, which is the dispatcher is somewhere and they are telling the autonomous trucks via their interface of YMS, usually homegrown, where they want the autonomous trucks to move.
YMS, Yard Management System.
Correct.
Now, just to be clear, because we've been ever so conscious of saying this is not teleops. They're not teleoperating anything. That's just another yard move that they're watching.
Right. Our system is designed for a dispatcher to initially manage up to 100 yard trucks doing thousands of moves. When you're looking at teleops and why there are many applications where teleops is more than appropriate, like government or defense, right? It just is the cost benefit, it doesn't work out. You really want a dispatcher being able to dispatch tens, hundreds, thousands of AVs from a central location. When you're looking at teleops, maybe one teleoperator can do 5 vehicles at a time. It depends on the use case.
Right. So this is a force multiplier.
Correct.
Okay, which is actually a military term. So London, we talked about the fact that the future has to be electric for this to really be something meaningful. We know that the regulations are pushing things that way. You're already equipped for that at the test site. Is that also to be the case when we get to?
Yeah, our customers are very, very bought into electrifying not only their yard trucks, but all of their fleets. And so it's a very economical conversation with our Fortune 500 customers that are looking to move their entire fleets of semi trucks, including yard trucks, to electric platforms or other types.
You don't really offer them a diesel option, do you?
Currently, we have an EV first strategy. We can electrify or we can autonomize anything, but we've chosen to go this route because that's where we think the puck is going.
So, London, the gentleman behind you, one is what, a dispatcher, and the other used to be a safety driver?
Well, he still is a safety driver. This is part of our test operations where we have a dispatcher who is instructing the moves that he or she wants the truck to do. And the other person is monitoring the trucks as a safety driver to intervene if a safety situation arises. That person is able to stop the truck at any point in time necessary.
Now you can kind of see there what looks like a joystick, but it's not a joystick. This is not teleops.
Nope.
That is strictly a movement of cameras. Is that correct?
Correct. As part of our test operations, we have cameras on all eyes of the yard and on all eyes of the truck. And so that is to zoom in, zoom out, pan, look around the entire yard with cameras.
So Mike Garrett, who is the head of technical operations, Mike, nice to see you. Thanks for jumping on camera here for just a moment.
My pleasure.
It looks to me like you've got a lot going on here as we sort of pan around here at obviously lots of screens, but more than that, I see the 4-box up there. What does that represent?
Yeah, so what we do here is we monitor all the Outrider systems remotely. This is actually our test site that's up on the screen, and we are looking at a specific vehicle at this time. We can also go to a higher view and look at the fleet as a whole. And basically, we're here to make sure the system runs smoothly and utilize.
Well, we know that basically you can click in, not that you will, but you can click into any of the customer sites and see what's going on over there. You're not going to operate it, but you certainly can see what's happening from here. Is that right?
Correct. And we also receive alerts if there's issues with the system, so we can proactively try to resolve things.
So the dispatchers at those sites, basically, you're on speed dial, I would take it.
Radio contact.
Radio contact, even better, right?
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
Great. And how long have you been doing this?
I've been dispatching or with the tech ops team for almost 5 years now.
Okay, excellent. So, Mike, you look at these trucks, but you can also do things for these trucks.
Correct. The trucks report issues, and especially for novel issues, we can take those new issues, turn them into processes, improve the system, both software, hardware, whatever it may be. The truck learns how to handle that situation in the future, and hopefully continues to get smoother and smoother.
So this is sort of the mothership. Would that be correct?
I think that's a great term to use.
All right. Okay, so now we know a little bit of what goes on here at Outrider in their test center. It was great of them to let us come in and take a look. This is only going to grow in terms of both the number of customers, the number of applications, and ultimately finishing up those last things. We've seen the glad handing operations between, hooking and unhooking the trucks. We've seen them back in and drop their load, so to speak, and then skid out to another place. So we can see all this right now. Coming beginning of next year, we'll probably get to see commercial application of this. Now, Outrider, interestingly enough, has been at this for quite a while. It's clearly a leader in the space. There are others that are doing pieces of this, but right now we think the trip to Brighton really was worth it. We hope you do too. Thanks for watching.